In this video, we are going to talk about how to elevate your digital transformation to greater success. So before starting this video, like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. There are 3 stages to a digital transformation, with the third step being the most successful and significant stage. Unbelievably, the majority of firms fall short of achieving that third level of success. Business process alignment is one of the most important things that successful companies do better than their competitors who don't make it to the third stage of success. Instead of just relying on technology and assuming it will solve their business problems, they explain how they want to deal with those problems and how they want their business to run. As an example, companies often decide to use a new piece of technology. Because their new technology uses best practices or industry best practices, the software vendor or sales reps will try to convince the company that it doesn't need to worry about its business processes. So, they will come up with ideas about how the business process should look. Now, that might be true about how software system transactions work in the details, but it's not true about how you want your organization to run in the big picture. One issue with the philosophy is that the other problem with this wrong strategy, which software companies often keep using, is that modern technology is very flexible and can fit a wide range of different workflows, business processes, and system options. In the end, it's just not realistic to think that the software vendor or the software solution will tell you how to run your business. You should instead have a clear idea of how you want your business to work. Now, figuring out how business processes fit together takes more than just a first choice. But we also need to make sure that we've thought about and decided how that technology will be used in our business processes as we adopt it and, eventually, put it into action. Now, that might be true about how software system transactions work in the details, but it's not true about how you want your organization to work in the big picture. One problem with this idea is that the other problem with this wrong approach, which software companies often keep using, is that modern technology is very flexible and can fit a wide range of different workflows, business processes, and system options. In the end, it's not realistic to think that the software vendor or the software solution itself will tell you how to run your business. Instead, you need to know exactly how you want your business processes to work. Now, figuring out how business processes fit together takes more than just making a first choice. But we also need to make sure that we've thought about and decided how that technology is going to be used in our business processes as we adopt it and, eventually, go live with it. It's important to think about what they do well and what makes them different. One example of what they do differently is in how they set up their businesses. They take the time to explain how the future state will be organized and what people's jobs and responsibilities will be. Most people don't realize how important it is that they start putting the changes into place before moving on to the go-live training and project ending messages. For the training and communication components of the project to be effective, there is a lot of upfront strategic work that needs to be done. Most organizations also miss out on early-stage tasks like evaluating the organization and being aware of its culture. Whether you know it or not, any changes you want to make at your company will be met with resistance. This is the possible place where people will fight back. Before you can make a plan for change, you need to look at your organization and its current state. Organizations are more likely to do well if they can handle organizational change management well. Check out this guide on managing organizational change to learn more about how to do that. It's perfect for anyone working on an organizational change project or a digital transformation of any kind. Firms that make it to the third stage of success are also different because they combine business and technology. In other words, think about how everything will fit together as a whole instead of just making changes to business processes and technology in isolation. All of these considerations are important for maximizing the commercial value of your digital transformation, even though they aren't always essential for integrating technology per se. Getting the ROI and the economic value they anticipate from their digital transformations is one of the things that businesses who succeed in the third stage of success accomplish effectively. Data and security are another frequent afterthought that leads to serious errors in digital transformations. Even if you have the technology in place, have tested it, and have even matched it with your business processes and change management skills, if you don't have a strong focus on data and security, it might all fall apart. This means a few things, specifically. You need to make sure that the data you are moving to the new technology is correct, clean, and has been mapped to the new system correctly. Make sure we have master data management practices in place so that, once the data has been moved, cleaned up, and mapped to the new system, it won't get messed up because people aren't keeping track of it or maintaining it properly. We need to be able to set up procedures for managing master data that keep the data's integrity even after installation. The last part of this is the security part in general. How can we make sure that we don't just make our systems hacker-proof so that people can't get in, but that we also tighten the security in new technologies so that employees can only access what they're supposed to access? In order to avoid this widespread security issue, we ultimately wish to do it using security profiles and various security measures within technology. Testing is another problem that often comes up with transformations. Most businesses are less likely to avoid testing altogether now that they know how important it is, but their methods are still very flawed. Most of the time, testing is more about making sure that the technology works. In other words, it's important to make sure all the problems are fixed and the technology is solid, but it's much less important to make sure it works for our business. I'm talking about conference room pilots, which are also called user acceptance testing. To make sure that our processes and technologies are well defined and that everyone in the company knows how the new processes will work, it is very important to make sure that we have thought through all the different scenarios and major exceptions that could come up in our day-to-day operations. This can be very helpful for change management from both a testing and a communication point of view. In general, it's important to have a testing process that is very thorough. When you look at the testing plan that your vendor has given you, make sure to leave enough room for your own user acceptance testing as well as any technical testing they may do. Benefits realization is the last thing that comes to mind when thinking about what businesses in the third stage do differently to get the most out of their tech investments. Simply put, benefits realization is the process of figuring out what results you want from a new system and then measuring those results once the new system or systems have been put in place. In this area, this is something that many businesses ignore and don't even think about doing. The benefit of doing what I'm saying here is that it takes very little time, money, and effort relative to the whole time, money, and effort that has gone into the technological deployment. It is crucial to do this since you will benefit greatly from it. One problem people have is that they're afraid to look back and see what results we're actually getting because, to be honest, it's likely that you won't see the results you were hoping for right away. The whole point of a benefits realization exercise is to figure out where we're getting our benefits and where we're not. Some things, like not teaching the group how to use a certain system feature, hurt the business benefits. Think for a moment about how much work that would be compared to how much work it took to make the shift. Even though it's not much, it has a big effect on a positive return on investment, ROI. Organizations that have been through this process have taught us a lot of useful things. These are just a few of the mistakes that businesses frequently make that make it more difficult for them to succeed in the third stage. In addition to everything we've covered here, there are other things you may be doing in terms of quality assurance. One of the greatest methods to solve the issues we've covered in this video. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.